Hi, and welcome to the Frog Pond School of Design, where today we're going to talk about a book, actually a couple books. I want to start, though, with one you're probably familiar with, The Monuments Men by Robert Edsel. This tells the story of a unit, an army unit composed of museum directors, curators, art historians, and architect, all sent to Europe to do whatever they could to save art and architecture from what was going on in the war. Now, this obviously included trying to keep certain buildings from being bombed or whatever, but their task really ended up more than anything being one of recovering artwork that had been stolen by the Germans. Hitler had visions of creating this wondrous museum in his hometown, and his right-hand man, Hermann Goering, wanted to build up his own private collection. So, there was a lot of stuff just disappearing as fast as it could. These men, they were learned men, obviously, from their position, so they weren't 19 and 20 years old like most of the soldiers over there. They got very little support. Transportation was abysmal. They had so much territory to cover, and there were so few of them that they spread out and hardly ever saw each other. They worked in isolation. It was not an easy position that they were in, trying to locate and find as much of this stuff as they could. Why is it important that these guys ended up finding stuff in salt mines and castles and farmhouses? They really did recover hundreds of thousands of pieces. And it's important, and we need to be aware of what they did simply because all that artwork really represents a huge portion of Western culture. And they preserved it, and just as importantly, they returned things to their rightful owners. Many things were taken from collections that belonged to Jewish people, and of course these were the ones that Hitler was trying to destroy anyway, so he saw no problem in taking whatever he could from them. So again, that's a story we need to be aware of. Now, the second book I want to talk about, you may not be as aware of, and that is Saving Italy, also by Robert Edsel. It's a companion to this, and it tells the complementary story of the group that started in the south, down the south of Italy, and moved up through the peninsula toward the main body of Europe. They were basically following the German retreat, but the Germans were fighting all the way. There was the unfortunate bombing of the monastery at Monte Cassino, the near bombing of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I told a story somewhere that early in my career I worked with and had a conversation with a gentleman who had been there. He actually was ready to give the order to take down the Tower of Pisa when they got information that that's not where the fire was coming from, so we still have the Tower of Pisa today. The Monuments Men, their main concern there was a burial area, which was part of the complex at Pisa, called Campo Santo, which its burial grounds and mausoleum, and was filled with incredible artwork on the walls, frescoes and mosaics on the walls that were heavily damaged because the place was burned. The lead roof melted and ran down those walls. Restoration work is ongoing yet today in the Campo Santo to get it back to what it originally was. The book also explains measures that they took to protect larger artwork, like building a brick enclosure all the way around Michelangelo's David, which brings us to what happened in Florence, where most of the artwork didn't suffer as badly, but they bombed all but one of the bridges, including the Ponte Santa Trinita, the Bridge of the Holy Trinity, which many people considered the most beautiful bridge in the world. Now, it has been rebuilt today, presumably true to its original appearance. But again, that original bridge has been lost, as was what someone estimated to be about a third of medieval Florence. So yeah, the losses were tremendous, the losses were tragic, but things could have been a whole lot worse in the end without the efforts of this small group of fellows, and not just men. There was a woman who ended up being very much a hero in this whole story too. So efforts that we all should be aware of and should be thankful for, and recognize those men who risk their lives to save a big portion of Western culture for us. Thanks for joining us today on the Frog Pond School of Design. I look forward to seeing you hanging around the pond again real soon.